Many cyclists looking to improve their performance on the bike will invest in a power meter. Now, having one of these gadgets is only half the story. The other half is that it's very important to perform what's known as an FTP test. Now, FTP stands for functional threshold power, and it's measured in watts, and it represents the maximum power that you can expect to put out while cycling for 1 hour. And once you have this number, you can then start to build an effective training routine. Your FTP number differs from your heart rate number in a couple of important ways. Firstly, it's unaffected by external factors. So for instance, your heart rate can go up or down slightly depending on your emotional state, your general health, or even the weather sometimes. And secondly, your heart rate number is only going to go down as your age increases. And by contrast, you can improve your FTP figure by getting stronger. Normally, an FTP test is performed on the bike, either out on the road or on a turbo trainer. And usually what happens is you'll ride as hard as you possibly can for either an hour or 20 minutes to get your base number, and then you'll perform some fancy calculations on that to get your actual FTP number. Well, today I'm going to perform my first ever FTP test, and that's partly due to the fact that my new Saris H3 Smart Trainer measures power. I've never had anything that measures power before. And also down to the fact that my friend Kris, who's a very experienced fitness instructor, has a new test that involves me riding at full power for only 5 minutes. And seeing as I'm not that much of a glutton for punishment, I thought 5 minutes of full bore sounds much better than either an hour or 20 minutes. And she assures me that the results are going to be pretty much the same.
Ready in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, the hammerhead started.
Okay. Right, so a little bit of tension through the feet, nothing too hard. So you've got a 10-minute warm-up.
Okay.
You probably saw from the YouTube that I sent you. 10 minutes of warm-up. So let me talk you through a little bit about what you're doing and why. So you've got your computer linked into your smart trainer, and we're going to be recording your power output. And then for the 5-minute section, that's the test. It's just the 5 minutes. And we need a good 10-minute warm-up because we need you really ready to go. So it's not a warm-up and then a gentle ramp. You need to be really, really fired up. Can you measure cadence on your bike computer there?
Yep, I'm doing 97 revs per minute at the moment.
Okay. So that's fine for the warm-up. So add on a little bit of gear maybe, just one, and drop it down just a little bit. You want to get a little bit of heat building in the legs fairly early on. We're going to do a fairly easy 2.5 minutes kind of just gentle warm-up. 2.5 minutes, you're going to add a little bit more gear. 2.5 minutes in.
Okay.
Then at 7 minutes, so don't worry too much, I'm just watching the clock here for you. At 7 minutes, you're going to do the first full-on 10-second sprint.
Okay.
Full gear, firing up the legs. You should have a good sweat on by the time you get to 7 minutes. And then you're going to do a second sprint at 8 minutes in. And then you're just going to drop it back down just a little bit and then ready to hit that full-on effort at 5 minutes. So do you know what your FTP actually represents?
The maximum effort I can sustain for 1 hour.
Perfect, yeah. Now, I probably mentioned to you, I've done all sorts of FTP tests. There's a full hour test, there's a 20-minute test, there's a ramp test, and then there's this 5-minute test. I've done all of them. And actually, there's not that much difference in terms of results. So, right, we're coming up to 2.5 minutes in. I want you to try and keep that nice, steady, lovely, fast cadence you've got there, but add on another gear. Are you in the big ring or the small ring?
Big ring.
Big ring, okay.
Yeah.
Is it feeling quite hard?
Yeah.
Might want to drop it down to the small ring and get a little bit of momentum going. Add on the gears, but it's not, you know, quite such a heavy effort. How does that feel?
Yeah, better.
Good, good, good. Perfect. How you doing?
Yeah, 96 cadence, 70% of my max.
Okay. So when you actually come to do the test, you've got two options. There's blissful ignorance, so you can put a towel over your bike computer and don't even look at it. And in fact, when you come to do this a second time round, I would advise you to do that, because what you don't want to be doing is messing with your head in terms of how much power you're outputting. So you know, you've got the YouTube video to follow, and then that will just tell you your timings. So your heart rate, where's your heart rate at the minute?
74%.
Perfect. That's good. That's good. That's good. When you come to do that 5-minute effort, Leonard, your ideal kind of cadence is between about 80 and 90 RPM. The reason being, you've got a good mix of fibres that you're using. So you're not wholly relying on your strength fibres or fast twitch or slow twitch. You've got a good mix of the two. So between about 80 and 90. No standing. You have to stay seated throughout the whole test. I'm not going to coach you, and you're just not going to get any help. You've just got to, you know, go off. If you go off too hard and you feel that lactate drop straight into the muscles, back off a little bit. You've got to try and keep that nice steady cadence all the way through, rather than trying to stamp and really grind it. Now, if you've got to the last minute and you've got loads more to give, you know, kind of, if by about 2 minutes in, you're really not starting to feel it, you've got to start to really ramp it up. You've got another 5 minutes of warm up. How you doing? You should be feeling warm. Good. Should be feeling warm already. Colin's laughing in the background at you, by the way. I've got 3 dogs roaming around. Just hope no one comes to the door, because they're going to kick off. Come on. Let me just pull the naughty dog away. Come on. No, there's nobody there, you idiot. Get in. About 1 minute and 20 seconds, and then you're going to do a 10-second full-on sprint effort. Don't hold back. Really important, you fire up the muscles so you're ready to go. So you should be feeling good and warm. Now's your time to take any fluids on board that you want, because when you hit that test, you're not going to have chance. So if you've really got a dry mouth and you're dragging in the air, grab some water. Are you still able to smile?
Just
about. Right, so in about 40 seconds, I don't know if you want to jump straight to the big ring from where you are and put that effort in. That might be something you could do. Or just load up some gear, something that you can really push against for 10 seconds. I'm in the big ring. You're in the big ring, ready to go. So going in about 20 seconds, I'll call you in from 5 seconds on, and you're going to give it a 10-second full beans effort. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Load it and hit it for 10 seconds. Push, 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 push. 3, 2, 1. Back off. Right, back it right off. Drop back down to the small ring. Good, good. Keep the legs fluid. That's the right level of hurt. That's the right level of hurty right there. And you might think that's going to jeopardise your chances for the 5-minute test, but it's really not, I promise you. Oh, good. We've gone to grimace stage. I'm liking that. Right, in 10 seconds, you're going to do one more effort. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Off you go. Come on, don't hold back. Push, push. 3, 2, 1. Drop it right back. Good, good. Fired up. Nice. So breathe it down. All good?
Oh,
Oh!
no.
Oh! Oh! Are you in full high definition there?
4K.
Oh, 4K, yay! Can you nasal breathe, or are you still just dragging it in through the mouth?
Dragging it in through the mouth.
Okay.
I'm at 80% of my max.
Okay. I'm going to let you drop down. I want you to get that heart rate back down before we go. Recovery coming back?
Yeah, 75.
Perfect. Right, I don't want it to drop an awful lot more. So you are going to start the test in 15 seconds. Okay?
Okay.
In 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Off you go. Keep it steady on the cadence. Watch your RPM that you're not too high. What are you at?
96.
96?
Yeah, trying to slow it down.
Yep, drop it right down. Load the gear. Better, that looks better. More control. Good. So the backing track I use for this is bang on 80 RPM. So it kind of helps you along. If you're looking at your heart rate, really right up there, max effort. Nice and fluid, good. Your bike computer timing it for you. Good. Just nod at me. Are you between 8 and 90 RPM? Good. Perfect. Looks pretty fluid from where I can see. So you're not far off halfway. Last one. At 2 minutes-ish or thereabouts. Nice one. This is when I like my job a little bit too much. Looking good. Just about coming up to the last minute. So we're after an average number. So anything you can give in that last minute is going to add to that up in the average. Just keep an eye on your own timer. Then when you come to that 5 minutes, you're just going to hit the lap button to stop that segment. Almost there. Final push. Nearly there. Yay! Okay, drop the gear, keep the legs moving. Drop the gear. 3. Well done. Drop the ring. Yeah. I'll give you a minute. Whoa. Nice one. Oh. you want to try doing the 20-minute effort, mate?
Oh, that.
I have done it I've done it with a bunch full of instructors in the room, and 2 of the blokes got off and chucked up. Keep the legs moving, Leonard. Keep them going. Have you dropped down to the small ring?
Okay.
Yeah. Just keep them moving. Bucket loads of laxate in there. Got to shift it. Fantastic. So when you've finished, when you've got the whole recording, I'll send you the secret squirrel bit on what you need to do with the number.
Okay.
So you're going to multiply the average power outputs, the average you want for that 5-minute sector. You're going to multiply it by 0.85.
Right.
So I'll send all this over to you, and that will give you your FTP. That equals your 100% number. That's
Right.
your FTP.
Well, if I've understood it right, this has already given me an
Okay, tell me the
power
average.
for that
How much?
set. About
Yeah.
302.
302. Whoa! Yay!
That's not very much.
302? I'll take
Yeah.
that. I'll take 302. 12.8. Okay, so your FTP is 257.
Right.
Keep the legs moving. Keep the legs moving. Keep them moving. So 257 equals your 100% number. And then what I'll do, I'll send you over a little grid for you to fill in. So you can work out your power zones. So, you know, we talk about zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, etc. And you can just, you can work out your percentages.
Okay.
So 257 equals 100%. And then you can just, obviously, I use a little Excel spreadsheet. So when my numbers change, I just put in the new FTP number and it auto calculates the bands. Now you can obviously pop that into your bike computer or whatever software you use. You maybe bung it into Strava actually. So you need to put 257 in as your FTP number and it should auto calculate all of your zones.
Oh.
Good, keep the legs moving. Keep them going. As you'll have seriously heavy legs tomorrow. You just got to get those waste products out of the muscles. Nice one. Oh, brutal.
Yeah. I was at 90% of my max.
90%. Oh, you can go higher than that.
Pardon?
You can go higher than that. Either your max heart rate's set wrong or you weren't working hard enough. Your max heart rate might be not set right. Were you really, really pushing it hard?
Yeah, I couldn't get it anymore.
Okay, so I would suggest your max heart rate number is not correct.
Right.
So typically when I do them, I'm working 95 to 97% of my max heart rate. Keep the legs moving.
Yeah.
Keep them going. Keep going. So have a look at your, because to be honest, most people don't tend to do a full-on effort, so they don't really calculate what their max heart rate is. So I would suggest you need to perhaps change your max heart rate number.
Okay. He's about 188 at the moment.
Okay. So you need to, that effort should have, as I said, it should have represented around about 95%-ish.
Right.
So you're not far off, but you might want to, you know, just change that slightly to reflect. So I'll send you over the little grid for you to fill in. Well done. Okay, you're not going to do another one of those for 6 weeks.
Oh, so soon.
So soon. It's kind of, if you've got some targeted training in between, so if you're doing some like the threshold stuff or the sweet spot stuff, that should push up your FTP.
Right.
Yeah. So it's all about doing the right targeted training to work on that FTP number. So not just
the foundation number, the control kind of thing.
Yeah. So doing the right targeted training is what will make the difference to that FTP. Now, last year when I was training to go off to the Alps, I did a whole block. I did about 6 to 8 weeks of sweet spot training. Really targeted sweet spot training on the turbo and on the road, and I managed to push my FTP number up by 10%.
I mean,
it's massive. It's absolutely massive. So with the right kind of training, you can really work on it. Anyway, that's brilliant. Well done. You feel like you need to keep your legs moving. You're going to go and grab a cup of tea. Well done. I'll send you over the information. I'll catch up with you offline when you finish recording.
All right, Kris.
Thank you.
See ya.
So there we go. That's my first ever FTP test done, and I can tell you now it was jolly hard, even though it was only 5 minutes of effort. And for that period, it gave me an initial reading of 302 watts. And once I've placed that number in Kris's clever little spreadsheet, you can see it's giving me an FTP of 256 watts. And it's also calculating all of my power zones and my sweet spot numbers. Performing an FTP test is actually quite an eye-opener. My first impression is that I'm not quite as strong as I first thought, and I don't mind admitting that I'm a little bit disappointed with that initial 302 watts for the 5 minutes of effort. The second thing that I think I've learnt is that my maximum heart rate figure might also be wrong. I've been riding with a maximum of 188 beats per minute, and based on the heart rate figures that I was getting during the test, I think I may need to reduce that a little bit. Now that I have my magic FTP number, the plan is to obviously improve it. And the best way to do that is to ride as much as I possibly can within my sweet spot zone. So for me, that's going to be around 214 to 250 watts, and that's best done on the turbo trainer. The other way, of course, is to do some interval or some HIIT training. And again, Kris has some fantastic HIIT workouts on her YouTube channel, and one of them is only 15 minutes long. So that's short enough for me to fit that into my day, regardless of how busy I am. The good news is that now that I finally have my first ever FTP number, I can use it as the basis of all of my future training. The bad news though is that I will have to go through all of this again in about 6 to 8 weeks, but hopefully by then that number will have gone up. Thanks for watching.